Welcome back to the Movie Draft House. I'm your host, Mark, joined by co-host Jeff.
Body slams, other wrestling maneuvers.
Yeah.
It's wrestling month here in the Movie Draft House.
I'm going to reenact that real quick. Body slams. And that was it. You,
I did mention other wrestling maneuvers.
I actually don't know what any of the wrestling maneuvers are called in wrestling.
There's
A
hip
pin.
toss.
I know what a pin is.
Famously, the arm bar.
Okay.
Yeah,
What is the where they run against the ropes and bounce off?
It's called running the ropes.
Okay.
Now, there's the
I dig it.
throw
Okay.
that you use to propel your opponent into the ropes. That throw is known as the Irish whip.
Ooh. That's a little trivia for you all that don't know a damn thing about wrestling like me.
I'm here for you if you need me.
Anyways, hey, before we get into what we watched this week, Jeff, you want to plug the music?
Of course I do. The music this month is brought to us by Flipside and their song Cream of the Crop, the Randy Savage edition. You can find it on YouTube. Yeah, it rises to the top. Don't know if that was good, but you can find his music anywhere you stream music. You can also go to his website, Flipside. Was it .net?
Sure. I actually don't know, but we appreciate him letting us use his music here on the podcast.
Flipside-music. Nope, that ain't it. That is someone else's website.
Professional ass podcasters here.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it because I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Viruses just looking at it. But you check the show notes. It'll be down there. Mark will put it there.
I will.
Apologize to the musician for fucking up so terribly.
Anyways, yeah, so we're watching professional wrestling films here this month, in the month of May 2024. And this week, I chose the 2019 film Fighting with My Family, rated PG-13, runs for an hour 48. It is directed by the comedian Stephen Merchant, also written by Stephen Merchant, and stars Lena Headey, Vince Vaughn, Florence Pugh, Nick Frost, Jack Loudon,
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah, he's listed as starring in this movie, but it is a cameo, but it's like a glorified cameo. But
it's because he produced the film.
Sure, yeah.
And he's like, I'm here too. I'm The Rock.
But he actually has one of the funnier moments in the movie, so I'll allow it. But
okay.
Jeff, had you ever seen this film?
No, So I'm familiar with a lot of it because I do watch wrestling, and it is about the wrestler Paige, who actually now wrestles in AEW under the name Saraya, which I'm guessing is her real name because she goes by Saraya as her real name in this film. So I knew about the making of it. I actually remember watching an episode of Raw where afterwards they filmed sort of the final sequence here in front of that live audience. Mm-hmm. That was at an actual Raw live event recording. And I remember that, and that's about all I remember. I did see the Rock cameo in some promotional stuff for this movie that was airing on various wrestling programs. And that's about all I knew. I didn't really know Florence Pugh was in it. I think at the time I didn't know who Florence Pugh was. I knew Nick Frost was in it. I didn't know Vince Vaughn was in it until this viewing. So that's all I know about Fighting with My Family.
Yeah. So Paige's real name, the actual wrestler, is Saraya Jade Beavis.
Beavis.
Yeah, and she is currently signed with All Elite Wrestling, AEW, and she is the leader of the Outcast.
Yes, which is, well, I don't think that's the case anymore. So she led a group that was former WWE women made up of, I believe, Tony Storm and Ruby Riot, but that has kind of faded away as they've gone on to other things.
Okay,
But maybe
so
I'm wrong. I haven't watched AEW in a minute.
well, I'm pulling this from Wikipedia, so who knows? So I had seen this, not realizing like what I was watching. I guess when it came out a little bit, maybe. I don't remember when I saw it.
So you did watch it before this viewing?
Yes, but I didn't remember. I think I just like passively put it on maybe, and like didn't pay attention to it a whole lot because I also didn't realize Florence Pugh was in it before I picked the film. And I mean I remember some of the stuff that happens, but like the complete story I didn't really remember. I didn't know certain people were in this film. I knew Vince Vaughn was in it, but so it's produced by The Rock. It's got the backing of WWE. It's, I wouldn't say, relatively moderate budget. And Stephen Merchant is a pretty well-known writer, a comedic writer / performer. So this film has a lot going for it. If you've like never seen it before, like if you're going into it and you're looking at the roster of actors, who it's written by, produced by, directed by, you're like, oh, I'll put it on. So with that said, Jeff, what'd you think?
I think it's an enjoyable little movie, and that sounds diminutive and insulting, but I don't. I wouldn't go out of my way to see it, and I'm a wrestling fan. But I think it's decent. You know, I think the story is somewhat interesting. But there were moments, because I know the real story, that I kind of was like, well, that doesn't actually make sense. Like, that's not what happened. Mostly around her popularity before she made her debut, because they show NXT here as being this sort of little, what they call in the business house shows, which are wrestling shows where they're not recording and they're not televising it. And they show NXT as basically like this house show circuit, when actually they have their own programming and they were pretty popular. Granted, not as popular as the main roster as they put it in this movie. But when Paige made her debut on the main roster, as she did in this film, you know, she did win the title the first night she debuted, but she wasn't some unknown. When her music hit, people were excited. They were surprised, but they were excited that she was there. And it wasn't like this nobody out of nowhere came and won this title on this night. So that was one of my things. I'm like, that's not how it happened. I get that they're being creative with the story, but I think there were a lot of things, as there are in pretty much every biopic, embellished for the sake of storytelling. But I think, generally speaking, the acting's pretty good. I really like Nick Frost in this a lot. I think Florence Pugh does a great job, as does really the whole family is really good, I think.
I think actually the best actor in this film is Jack Lowden, as Zach Zodiac, I think he's called. Zodiac Zach, yeah. He's actually... He gives, I think, the best performance. I don't know if he's the best actor, but he gives the best performance as Paige's older brother, and he eats, breathes, lives wrestling, and it's been a lifelong dream of his to be in the WWE and fight for the heavyweight title, and he doesn't get picked.
Right. So here's the other problem I had with the movie. And again, my problems are minor, and they mostly have to do with me actually knowing the wrestling industry.
Right.
So they wouldn't bother maybe other people. But so when Zach gets turned down they kept saying to him, Vince Vaughn keeps going, "This is the end of the line for you."
Yeah.
And he says it to several, "This is the end of the line for you." And the movie almost tries to make you believe that it's WWE or bust.
Right. Well, I
And
mean, it's a
that's
WWE
just-
film, but
Right. But for the sake of like, if you don't make it to the WWE, your wrestling career is over,
sure.
is not the case.
Right.
And there are lots of people who didn't get to the WWE on their first try. Guys like Bryan Danielson, who went on to be hugely popular, went in and wrestled a couple what they call dark matches and then disappeared for a while and went to the independent circuit and became a huge star on the indies. Then they signed him and he became a huge star, so beside that, the end of the road thing is kind of ridiculous. Now, AEW didn't exist at this time, but indie wrestling in 2018 and maybe not so much in Soraya's rise, but was particularly huge. And people were making a really good living on the independent circuit. So I had a problem with this whole idea that his career's fucked because he couldn't get to the WWE. And I know that's because the WWE made the movie and Vince McMahon was still in power at this time. And so him being the guy that he is, being a shithead, kind of probably wouldn't surprise me if he had a little something to do with that. I don't know. But it also could have just been embellishment for the storytelling. Like the drama of you didn't make it. Oh, everything sucks. There's so many wrestlers. Cody Rhodes. I don't know if you've heard of him, but Cody Rhodes was not becoming a star because he was in the WWE. And so he quit and he went to the Indies and he went to Japan and he made a name for himself. And now he's the current WWE World Champion. So it's just kind of the thing that frustrated me a little bit. Again, knowing the industry.
Yeah. No, it's a feel-good story, right? It's a rags to riches story. And I do think that Stephen Merchant, the director and writer here, I think he does.
And he does play a bit part.
Yep.
But he is kind of funny in it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed when his wife at the end of the movie was getting into the wrestling and she's like, "Eat my pussy," or whatever she said. I don't remember. Something along those lines.
Don't think she said that, but yeah, along those lines.
Well, what was it that they said?
I think she said like something.
"Fuck me dead and bury me pregnant" was the slogan of the women in the family.
Yeah. No, that was. I think he does an admirable job with. I mean, Lena Headey, very good actress. I feel like she's underutilized here, a tad bit. Vince Vaughn, very good. Florence Pugh, obviously very good. Nick Frost, very good. And then he got, like, Jack Lowden. This is the first and I think only thing I've ever seen him in. And I really think that guy.
He was in Dunkirk.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah. Probably had a small role. But
yeah, probably. But, he's very committed in this role. I mean, every time we see him, he's sad and brooding, and he carries the weight, and you can kind of feel the weight that he's carrying around with him in the film. And like, he obviously has the heaviest lift as far as storytelling goes, is because his character is the catalyst for Paige's character to do what she does. And so he kind of has to be the one that does the lifting in the film. But I think he really sells it. It's a really good performance in my opinion. But I do think that the film does bode well, given kind of the stuff. And like I watched it on Amazon Prime. I'm assuming you did as well.
I did.
And so I had to pause this film about halfway through one night and pick it up the next day. And I picked it up the next day with on my phone. And so I'm watching on my phone, and Amazon Prime has this thing. I forget what it's called, but it kind of gives you, you can hit the screen and pull up a menu where it shows you
Oh,
who's
X-ray.
X-ray. That's right. And it shows you who's on screen, what actors, what they play, but it also gives you trivia, and about like certain scenes that are happening in the movie. And one of the scenes, and I think it was where Paige goes. It's before her debut, but she's like kind of taking in the sights and the sounds of this big arena, and the scene was shot after an WWE SmackDown event in LA at Staples Center, and it said something about the film, or WWE used the opportunity of breaking down the SmackDown event as a backdrop to setting up this event in the film. And I was like, you know what? That's a really smart, and it's just logistical what I'm talking about right now. But to me, that's just a smart way of shooting scenes where, you take a character and you don't have to have her do anything, say anything. You just have her stand in the middle of an arena, and they're taking down a set for an actual wrestling event that happened, and you put that as the backdrop of a very pivotal part of your movie. That's smart decision making, smart filmmaking to me. But what I really enjoyed was, like you said, Nick Frost and Lena Headey as the patriarch, matriarch of this wrestling family in England, and just the way that they care about this sport, right? Like Jack Loudon's character of what is it, Rory or Zach? I'm sorry, Roy was the other brother. He trains wrestlers on the side, and he trains a blind guy to be a wrestler. And so it's an undersold part of the film, is where like there's heart built in to the foundation of the film, and in my opinion, they undersell that too. They should have sold that more, so we cared more about Jack's kind of depression arc a little bit, because when he goes through his depression of not being picked for the NXT or whatever it's called, we're meant to care a lot about why he's depressed, and all we know is that this is just a lifelong dream of his, but we weren't shown why. And but in the later parts of the film,
his family, is a family of professionals. It's all he's known.
Well, right, but his dad or mom was never WWE, so it's like, yeah, he's participating in the family, but to me, I would have loved to have seen how this building of the wrestling empire in Norwich, England, what was it called? The WIW or WAW, whatever it was.
So you wanted a 4-hour movie?
No, I didn't want a 4-hour movie, but I wanted to see more of, honestly, I cared more about his character than I did anybody else's in this film, on this watching. And I think that's because I was paying attention to actually how it was affecting him. And we did not get the same level of storytelling commitment to Paige's arc. I know the film's about her, and I know, we're telling of her, rags to riches story, and at the end she becomes, heavyweight champion, whatever. But I think this film would have been much more effective had we been given more weight behind Zach Zodiac's character. And I mean, it's a fine film. I don't have a whole lot of gripes, because it's entertaining. It's action packed with wrestling. That's what we came for. It's got recognizable people doing cool stuff. I mean, it's fine. I just think that part of Zach Zodiac and Jack Loudon giving this pretty committed performance of that character, I just think they kind of the screenplay a little bit sold them short, and I wish we had gotten more out of that.
Yeah. I was fine with it. I think his was the most compelling arc. So in a lot of ways, I think that's praise for how him not being the main character they were still able to develop him in a way that we were able to enjoy and felt
Sure.
fitting.
Yeah.
I personally agree that his part was sort of the best, at least the most compelling. I kind of wonder why they chose Paige to make a movie about, to
Yeah.
be honest, of all the wrestlers in the world. How many biopics about wrestlers are there? You know, I mean, 2, and we're going to watch the other one next week.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
it did feel weird, you know, but she was an active wrestler for the WWE at the time. But what's interesting about her is that she was actually kind of on the outs. She was going through, I don't want to get into the gritty details, but a pretty toxic personal relationship at the time.
Wait, was it with Ronnie Radke?
No.
Oh, because
No, it was with Alberto Del Rio. Unless that Ronnie Radke, I don't think is his real name.
No. Ronnie Radke is the lead singer of a band called Falling in Reverse. And they're a heavy alternative metal band. Ronnie Radke is very well known in the metal genre of music. And Wikipedia says that she's currently in a relationship with this guy, Ronnie Radke.
Well,
And
he's not who I'm talking about.
And
I hope
she's been in this relationship since 2018, according to Wikipedia.
Well, unless my memory serves me wrong,
Okay,
and maybe it was just prior to this or during the filming of it, because she was getting into a lot of trouble. Some of it not her fault, but she kind of was with this guy, and it was really toxic. And Vince McMahon is notably ruthless about who he fires and stuff. So it was kind of a surprise that she stayed on as long as she did. But I think it was this movie that kind of helped her. Now, shortly after this, she actually has, I don't want to call it a career-ending injury, but at that time, a career-ending injury. And I thought they were kind of even teasing it with her neck. You know, there's the point where her brother Tombstone pile driver her, and I'm like, oh, maybe that's where the neck problems come in. Or when she's hitting the ropes down in NXT with the other women, she kind of does this like flinch thing and pulls her neck. So I'm like, maybe they're teasing this neck injury, but I can't remember when that happened timeline wise. But
what's the wrestler's name that you were thinking of?
Alberto Del Rio. Are you Googling it?
I am. So
he's not a good person.
No.
It's funny though. His story is interesting. He was he at one point won the Royal Rumble and had a title match at WrestleMania in front of 100,000 people. And then now, like, there's videos of him going out in a high school gymnasium with 3 people in the crowd. Like his fall from grace was pretty huge.
So apparently they got engaged, and I'm assuming this is engaged for storytelling purposes.
No.
Okay. But
none of this happened on screen because nobody was happy about this.
Okay. Well, in 2016 they got engaged, and then they broke up. And wasn't like a year later, so 2017 maybe. So yeah.
Well, I hope that relationship's going better than the one with Alberto Del Rio. Notable douchebag.
No, like listen to some Falling in Reverse, the band.
No, thanks.
I mean, it's like you're a Tech 9 fan, right?
I do like Tech 9.
Okay.
Yes, actually.
All right.
How'd you know that?
I know, we've talked about it before.
Really?
Yeah.
Tech 9?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe it was off pod, but I mean
I've probably mentioned Tupac. I was a Tupac.
We've had a conversation about Tech 9. Anyways.
Okay, fair enough.
Anyways, this band Falling in Reverse has a brand new song with Tech 9 that is such a crazy collaboration between metal and hip hop that it's wild, and it's called the song is called Ronald. If you want to and like it's crazy. This guy Ronnie Radke, he's crazy. He's crazy. He's a crazy dude. But anyways,
it features Alex Terrible as well.
Alex Terrible is a
Oh, it's a first-person view music video. Like, you ever seen Hardcore Henry?
Yeah. But it's not all like that.
Hardcore
It's
Henry.
not all like that. But it is a wild collaboration. Alex the Terrible is just a like.
Is he a rapper too?
No. He is very heavy metal, scream. I don't actually know, but like you've Google some videos of him, and he's yelling without a microphone, and it sounds so guttural. It's weird.
I've never been into that style of.
It's an acquired genre, but like this song that you're watching or listening to, I don't know what you're doing with it, but it's wild is because Tech Nine comes in and he's got a good solid.
This guy got a full body tattoo.
Yeah.
They like tattooed his own clothes on him.
Yeah.
Oh
that's
my God.
That's Ronnie Radke, bro. It's wild. He's a really good musician and like performer. He's very theatrical and all this. I don't care for all of Falling in Reverse's music, but this song, and I don't do the screamy stuff, but this song, I'm like, yo, let's go. Anyways,
well, I'm listening to it. It kind of slaps, but I'm waiting for Tech Nine to show up.
Listen for Tech Nine. I mean, he just comes in and he lays it down, and you're like, holy shit, let's go Tech Nine.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, this film, it's entertaining, but I feel like it's a little on the long side. It drags in certain parts where I don't feel like we need the entire, like, we don't need the entire training regimen of Paige, right?
That's the thing, right? So that's what there's a huge portion of Paige's career that this movie just ignores.
Yeah.
And it has to do with that thing where they made NXT look like it was this house show bullshit, which I've been to NXT house shows. They're really fun. They do a lot of them here in Gainesville. But they had their own television show. They had their own premium events that would fill up stadiums. They were not no-name wrestlers when they moved up to the roster.
Yeah.
And there's a long period of time where Paige was the world champion of NXT and had a really long run. And then, they just ignored all of that stuff because she was already successful before she went to the main roster. So, again, it may be more dramatic to just be like, hey, I'm brand new on the scene and I won the world championship on the first day, which I think even non-wrestling fans have got to be like, what the fuck? like I think a non-wrestling fan would see that and be like, this is why I don't like wrestling.
Yeah.
That's not believable.
Yeah.
No one would just go in the first day and win the title.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like they missed a whole bunch of the story, and why that worked is because she had such a long reign as world champion at NXT that she did have the credentials to come in and wrestle for the title at, that show. Now, I want to also say the belt that they have at this time was the Divas belt.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking hideous.
Oh.
And shortly after this, they talk about it briefly at the end in the coda about how she started a women's revolution. Really, the women's revolution started with AJ Lee, who is the character she wrestles in the end. However, the actress playing her is Zelina Vega, who's currently a professional wrestler at WWE. But AJ Lee, who's also married to CM Punk, really kind of started and really shamed the WWE into pushing women's wrestling and taking it seriously. There's a subplot where Sarai is talking about how all these women are models, and the movie almost gets a little defensive.
Yeah.
And I think it's fair because even the models that became professional wrestlers worked really hard, but they weren't, what the objection fans had was they weren't wrestling fans. Like, they weren't women who wanted to be wrestlers. They were models whose careers kind of ended, and hey, this is one way to go. And I think that threw a lot of people off, and that's why Saraya was as popular as she was too. As she was kind of one of the, I don't want to say the first, because there's a lot of Japanese women, and there's like Alundra Blaze, aka Medusa, who've been around, and have done great things, but of this modern era, there's this time frame where it was all just models, and there'd be the occasional Natalia, who's Bret Hart's niece. You've probably heard of Bret Hart.
I have.
You'd get a couple people who were in it for the wrestling beforehand, like it was their dream to be wrestlers, and I think a lot of people objected to models being brought in because it's like you're not having this room for women who eat, sleep, and breathe wrestling to get a chance to showcase their skills. And that's fortunately changed. And I think AJ Lee had a lot to do with that, as did Paige.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of like, not shocking is not the right word, but like kind of a very loud shift in the film where the model and cheerleader women, the very attractive women in the film, kind of like put Paige in her place and say, I'm actually trying to do this to better my kids, and
I think it's totally valid, right?
Sure.
I don't think invalidating the models who became wrestlers is the right course of action either, but her sentiments of them just being TNA is something that the fans shared.
Sure. No, right, and I get that, and I just think it was a weird shift in the middle of the film to where we're getting this character who was told by her mom, she already thinks that these other women are just there because they're attractive, and then like they put her in her place, and that's meant to be this kind of cultural shift in how she thinks about them, and regardless of how she actually does think about them or the way the movie goes, I just felt like it was kind of like very on the nose, just like it invalidated the wrestlers, the women that were playing these wrestlers, because the dialogue had to state why they were there. It was a decision I didn't like. But anyway, a decision I did like that I guess, was a Stephen Merchant call maybe, but when Paige's character is like on her apologetic tour of all the women that she wronged here, she leaves the one that says she has a daughter and she's doing this for her daughter, all this. She leaves her I didn't catch what wrestler it was, but
Don't you worry.
I'm sure you did, but
it's Ultimate Warrior.
Okay, I had a Randy Savage one.
I had a Randy Savage.
Yes, one. and I saw that and I was like, no, get the fuck out of here. Yeah. And like it was almost like a holy shit, this is my childhood. And like it's little things like that in movies that make you love them, right? It's like little things, and I'm like, holy shit, that just one scene. It was a passing scene. It was quick. It was like a 4-second scene, and it was a sticky note that says for your daughter, and you said it was the Ultimate Warrior. I didn't catch it, but I was just like, holy shit, that's something I'll remember. Right? I'll remember how that made me feel watching that scene in 4 seconds, and how that made me feel about the rest of the film. And it was kind of surreal, because I had a Randy Savage fucking stuffed pillow wrestler guy. Crazy.
Yeah, I had Randy as well. I had fake Legion of Doom shoulder pads. Are you familiar with Legion of Doom?
I know.
And they're red shoulder pads with spikes on them. I had that. I had a Bret Hart bandana, Shawn Michaels stuff. I had Razor. Notably, I got picked on in middle school for wearing my Razor Ramon t-shirt. Fuck those guys. Wrestling's cool now. Eat a dick.
Eat a dick. No thanks. I like... Yours is too small. Whatever his page says, because Vince Vaughn says.
Oh, that's right. She's like, I need more sustenance.
Right.
Or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
That was kind of a dumb scene to me. I don't know. There's so many moments where I was like, this doesn't make makes sense. And okay, so let's talk about Vince Vaughn. So
Okay.
Vince Vaughn's the trainer of NXT. Now, at this time, the trainer of NXT was a guy by the name of Bill DeMott. Google Bill DeMott. He's a real piece of shit. And apparently, like, they got in a lot of trouble for the way he was, like, mistreating all the wrestlers. He's a real asshole. And the reason is because Bill DeMott was a has-been, never was, and they hired him to be a trainer, and all these other people are becoming stars and not him because he was never that great to begin with. But they replaced him, probably smartly, with Vince Vaughn, who does a pretty good job, but he's not a wrestler.
Right.
I mean,
No, I mean,
but he plays a wrestler, and I do like his story because he does have a really good story. Although, again, it's in the context of your brother just needs to give up and move on with his life, where he's like he'll end up jumping off of a cage and landing on concrete to make someone else a star because they think it'll help their gimmick. That's a real thing that happens. A lot of stuff on the independents, people do really stupid shit to think that they'll become the next big thing. I liked his little soliloquy there about that.
no, I did. I mean, I enjoyed his arc and how, and like the Rock delivers kind of the telling line of, that guy. What did he call him?
He called him
Damn.
he makes people stars, or he makes people blow up, something like that.
Yeah. But like essentially saying that, Vince Vaughn gave his career so the Rock could shine. I thought it was cool. It was a nice a nice bow on Vince Vaughn's arc, even though Vince Vaughn was a dick throughout kind of the entire film. It just
Sex tape.
Sex tape. That's right.
I'm looking at the quote
That's
here.
right. That's right.
I know that guy. We once had a crazy match where he threw himself off of the top of a 30-foot steel cage just to make me look good. The Rock to Hutch, who's the character. I'll see you later, sex tape. Why do you call him sex tape? Because he makes people famous.
Yeah. It's
That hurt to listen. That's so fucking stupid.
no, but
It would have been better. It's like, why do you call him sex tape? Because he had a sex tape leak.
because he's got a big dick.
Okay,
I don't know.
let's backtrack here, because around this time, Saraya had a sex tape leak. It seems like a bit
on the nose. Yes.
I don't know. I think it was more of an accident. I don't know, but it does seem a little weird now in hindsight.
All right, Saraya sex tape.
Oh God, no! Don't nobody. Just respect her privacy, please.
I mean, it's on the internet. You don't get any privacy.
I'm gonna leak your sex tape.
Please do. Let me get famous.
Of course, I'm in it. So.
Oh.
Yeah, don't.
Saraya and Jade Beavis. So Saraya Jade Beavis, aka WWE Page sex tape. With who though?
I can tell you, but I'm not going to.
Why?
Because I shouldn't have even brought it up. I forgot who I was podcasting with.
I mean, I'm curious.
Yeah, you're curious.
I'm curious.
I'm not coming over to sit on your sticky couch anymore.
That's my casting couch. Anyways,
all right.
All right. What's your recommendation for this?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a decent movie. It's just a decent movie.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a forgettable tale otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat. I do think it is largely forgettable. However, it's enjoyable in the moment. The performances were good. I thought the sets and the budget here was pretty good. I mean, we didn't talk about Big Show and what's his name, Sheamus.
Yes,
as the cameos.
They had a fun little cameo.
And
talking about eating the food and Big Show not wanting to eat the hot dog. I thought that was fun.
And
I think you need a couple of those guys to show up.
The guy at the end, he's a British wrestler. but he played the gang leader at the end of the movie where Zack Zodiac goes.
I don't know who that was.
Yeah, well, it popped up on the X-ray for Prime,
Oh.
and his name, fuck, what was his name? But he's a British professional wrestler.
Yeah, I believe you. I'm just not familiar with him.
Uh,
There was one other wrestler I recognized, Doug Williams. I think it was Doug Williams who was wrestling in the cage against her brother at that one point. But
Yeah, no, it's
it's not super rich with cameos like last week's movie.
well, I mean, it's got the Miz, right?
Yeah, the Miz has a little role in there, and I liked their star-studdedness.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, when they were backstage, I appreciated that part because we would all do that as wrestling fans.
I would do that not as a wrestling fan. I'd be like, oh,
If it were The Rock,
right. Yeah, I'm not gonna recommend it, but it is. It's not a bad film, right?
It was actually, it was better than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
I really thought I was going to be cringing the whole way through.
Yeah.
Um,
That's fine.
but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
Yeah. Okay, Jeff, what are we watching next week?
Now we're going to watch the other biopic. We had what you called this a feel good movie.
Yeah, this
Before
was a rag to riches
Fighting with My Family?
Yeah, feel good movie.
All right, that shit's over. Okay, it's time to feel like shit. You know it's going to make you feel like shit because it says A24 right up front. We're going to watch
Listen.
The Iron Claw,
Listen,
directed by Sean Durkin and starring Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White, and Holt McCallaghan.
And listen, if this A24 movie has fucking things being born, I'm turning it off.
No,
I'm just
there
fucking turning
shouldn't
it off.
be.
I'm just telling you now, right now. I'm turning the fuck off.
Listen, if
Fuck
someone
that
turns
movie
into
mid.
a man baby mid-match, it might be the best movie I've ever seen.
It's an A24 movie. You never know.
Well, I feel comfortable with this. A24 doesn't make all crap.
No,
Like,
they don't.
there's-
Right, you're correct.
A lot of people really like pretty much everything they shit out.
Yes.
But me, I'm a little more selective. There are A24. I particularly love The Lobster. It's one of my favorites. I watch it all the time. But I think this is going to be one of the good ones because I love Zac Efron, as do you.
I do.
He's the official man crush of the Draft
Yep.
House. So
No,
I'm looking forward to this one a lot. It's taken a lot of self-will not to watch it already.
That is correct. Every time me and my wife look for something to watch, we get on Max and it pops up, and I'm like, "Fuck no, we can't watch it." And she tells me, "I can watch it. You can't
Yes.
watch it."
Has she?
No, she hasn't.
Well, you're free to watch it now,
Right.
right? You're free to go watch it. I might watch it tomorrow. Just
I mean, yeah, okay. Anyways, we want to give a shout out again to
the flip side.
Flipside for allowing us to use their music here on the podcast. I had a brain fart there for a minute.
That's flipsidemusic.net.
Oh.
You can also check out his YouTube channel, Flipside. He also, among this, he has a few other song remixes. One of them is a remix of the song FaceTime by Bo Burnham. It's pretty fantastic. Be sure to head over there and check him out.
Yeah, we appreciate him allowing us to use his music here on the podcast. If you want to follow the podcast on all your favorite social media platforms, we're at Movie Draft House. Give us a like, follow, subscribe. We're on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, right here on YouTube, where you're likely giving us a watch. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button when it pops up, so you don't miss any future content right here on our podcast. And if you want to follow Jeff on Twitter, and let him know, hey man, release the sex tape.
I don't
Hit
think
him up.
You want to see it, y'all?
At Podcast
It's
by
just
Jeff.
like a really pale, fat guy, and I don't think you want that.
There's a corner of the internet for everybody.
You make a fair porn. Anyway, if you want to get in touch with Mark and insist that he blur me out of the sex tape if it does get released, you can do that on Twitter at I Heard You Like.
My pixelation skills aren't that good.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't require many pixels for me. It's a small dick joke.
Anyways, catch us next week when we watch The Iron Claw.
The Iron Claw.
And we'll catch you next time.
Oh, we should talk about
what?
themes. So next month
yeah.
is June. It's our anniversary, so we're going to do our second
second
ever
second
draft
annual
a theme. Where I can I could draft another wrestling movie if I wanted.
Absolutely.
I think Van Damme's off the table, unfortunately. At this point,
Even
did I draft a Van Damme movie?
I think you.
Oh yeah, Double Team.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, man, it's already been a year since we watched Double Team. So look forward to that. We'll be drafting our old themes to celebrate our year.
There's a lot of themes I gotta sift through.
Yeah. It's good. There's lots of options.
I might right or wrong.
Ooh.
And draft a Western. I don't know.
Oh, I would be surprised. I'll be surprised if it's actually a Western.
You never know.
But anyway,
you never know.
I thought I had written down a couple of movies, but I guess I forgot. So anyway, we will see you next week as we watch The Iron Claw.